Okay, now cutting back to the to this Saturn V drawing in paint. This was the best one I felt I could use to be able to describe what's going on here and why it needed to be destroyed and why they've lost the technology because they destroyed it, right? I don't know why I have to explain this. It should be played logical, but people don't seem to understand. They have no ability to use their brain in their head to understand why we have destroyed this technology. But anyway, let's see. So this whole thing is completely destroyable, right? So everything is a one-time use, right? So if you fly out to space, you go and get all your rocket propellant out the back of this thing, right? Not only is the two propellants in there, the oxygen and the kerosene, completely like burnt up and gone, right? This first stage is a completely empty carcass, and these things they've flown far out to space. Let's say, I think it was about, like, I don't know if it was like 30 kilometers up in space, and it has to fall to the ground. It doesn't have parachutes. What do you think is going to happen to it? Do you think it's going to go down and sit down on the ground like a SpaceX rocket? Or do you think it's going to come hurtling towards the sea and smash into a million pieces? Smash into a million pieces. And that goes for every single one, for the Apollo 8, 9, 10, 14, 17, whatever, right? So what are we going to do? So we're going to consider this one smashed, right? It's in the ocean. It's smashed. What are you going to do? Are you going to re-put this on the pad and start flying again? No, it's smashed into the ocean, right? Now, what happens to the second stage? Well, the second stage fired off. It fired its rockets. Whee! It's just going and flying away, and guess what? It does the same thing. It detaches and goes smash. It smashes somewhere, right? I don't know if that one flies into the sea or if it goes a little bit further, but either way, it crashes to the earth and it's cactus, right? It's dead, right? So then they're flying around in this one, right? And so this one they've done the orbit in, right? And they fire off the booster to be able to get it moving towards the moon. So this one fires off, and you see this shell, right? So that's the funny thing about this shell. This little shell around here, I should change the color. Here we go. This shell on the outside, that bell-shaped shell, that fires off too. You've seen those videos where there's a rocket that shoots off behind them, and then there's this huge ring, and the ring just spins off like throwing a lid off a jar, off like a strawberry jam jar. Well, that falls off like that too, right? It just falls off and goes ping, it's gone, right? Now this rocket's boost, and they basically start launching it towards the moon, and that will give that final correction to be able to give it that oomph all the way to the moon. And then what happens to that? Well, this one doesn't fall into the ocean, does it? No, it's on its way out to space. So where does it go? They specifically designed it to go in some sort of orbit, I believe around the sun. So they sent it far outside the Earth, and so it's in the a similar sort of orbit as what the asteroids are. So it's outside the Earth, but it's doing this particular angle where it will just keep flying. It'll keep flying around the sun. So let's have a bit of a look. So I'll do where's the circle? Here we go. So I'm doing the circle. That's the sun. Right, and so this we'll do a brush for the Earth, right? So that's there, and the Earth is going this direction, so it's going that way. Well, like I would say, it's going that way. So that's the Earth, and so the third stage will go out and fly out here, right? Now there is one in particular which didn't do this correctly. They mucked up the timing by about, I think it was 11 minutes or something like that. And there's one that is flying between the sun and between the Earth, and it keeps on getting stuck in the L1 branch. So what happens with that one? That one just gets stuck. it does a few loops around the Earth, and then it comes around and it does a few loops around the Sun, and it comes to do a few loops around the Earth. So the L1 Lagrange is this thing right in the middle. There's a cross right there. So it keeps going around the Sun, goes around the Earth, goes around the Sun, goes around the Earth. It's an absolute schmozzle, and I don't know where it's going to end up, but people will be very, very keen to go and see it flying around space, you know, in, I don't know, a decade. I don't know. So it'll be back soon. So that's the third stage, right? Now, of course, there's a computer ring right here. This is the thing which controlled the entire rocket. This ring right here. So that was controlling everything. This thing here is now flying off. And so what do you have left? The only thing that you have left is you have the lander, which is inside here. So the lander is inside there. And this little nose right here is the capsule which they land in the ocean with, and this little box right here is the lunar orbiter, I believe it's called, and that's the one which basically floated around the moon while they waited for these guys to do their thing for 3 days, right? So the lunar's down on the moon, and they basically got their pads like this, right? And then they've got their thing on top, right? And they leave this pad on the bottom. This pad stays on the moon. So more stuff is lost, just continuously lost. This thing flies up into space and goes up and meets up with this fella, right? And guess what? Once they get out of it, once they start heading back home, this gets destroyed too. My God, it's like everything continuously gets destroyed. Nothing survives, right? So the lander is dead. The part which stayed on the moon is dead. This thing lasts for just a little bit longer and then gets thrown away. And the only thing left, mind you, I did want to say that this spike on the end is the emergency rockets, just in case you need to eject the front seat. And so the only thing that comes back is the landing pod, basically the cone-shaped lander, and that lands in the sea with the parachute. The parachutes are destroyed, and this thing is burnt to a crisp. So they need to replace all their tiles, and they need to. Well, this one doesn't have tiles. This one has like I think it had a hexagon honeycomb material which gets injected with some sort of strange I don't know. It's not for me to explain. It's some sort of honeycomb, and they put a particular non-retardant type material in it, and so that gets burnt to crisp. So what part of the ship is left? The first is gone, second's gone, third's floating around in space. The ring fell to Earth. This ring fell to Earth too, right? This capsule holding the outside of the lander, that got rejected somewhere when they were flipping around the lander and the module. The module got thrown away. The capsule is the only thing that makes back. The capsule, that's it. This little thing with the hatch on the side. It's the only thing that survives, and it doesn't have that much high tech material inside it. So if you can imagine, all these rockets, the only thing that's actually remains is this little point. So yeah, it was all destroyed. What are we going to do about it? It was all single use. So stop saying we just lost the technology. Everything was destroyed. Idiots.